3 patients died on my table last week. Tonight, I found them all sitting in my empty hospital cafeteria. My name is Dr. Sarah Mitchell, and I'm recording this on my handheld camera because I don't think anyone will believe what I'm about to tell you. It's 3 a.m. on November 15th, 2003, and I'm hiding in my office at Millbrook General Hospital in rural Pennsylvania. The fluorescent lights keep flickering, and I swear I can hear whispers coming through the old intercom system. Let me start from the beginning. It was October 28th when Mrs. Eleanor Hayes died during what should have been routine gallbladder surgery. She was 67, a retired school teacher who came in every Christmas with homemade cookies for the night shift. During the operation, something went wrong with the anesthesia. Her heart stopped, and despite 20 minutes of CPR, we lost her. 2 days later, Michael Santos, a 34-year-old construction worker, died from complications after a simple appendectomy. The bleeding just wouldn't stop. No matter what we did, we couldn't save him. Then came little Amy Chin, only 8 years old, admitted for pneumonia. She died in her sleep despite being stable all day. 3 deaths in 1 week. In a small hospital like ours, that's unheard of. But death isn't what brought me here tonight. It's what happened after. The lights flicker above me as I speak. The camera shakes in my hands. 3 hours ago, I was finishing my paperwork when I heard voices coming from the cafeteria. Strange, since the hospital closes the cafeteria at 10 p.m. I walked down the empty corridor, my footsteps echoing off the sterile walls. The smell of disinfectant mixed with something else, something sweet and rotten. I pushed open the cafeteria doors, and there they were. Mrs. Hayes sat at table 3, still wearing her hospital gown, her surgical site visible through the thin fabric. Michael Santos was at the corner table, his dark eyes fixed on me, a strange smile playing on his pale lips. And little Amy. Amy was at the children's table by the window, her tiny hands folded neatly in her lap, her breathing tube still attached to her throat. They weren't moving. They weren't talking. They were just sitting there, waiting. I blinked hard, thinking I was hallucinating from exhaustion. But when I opened my eyes, they were still there. Mrs. Hayes turned her head toward me, and her mouth opened as if to speak, but no sound came out. Then, all at once, they vanished. A cold breeze suddenly fills the office. The camera captures my visible shiver. That should have been enough to send me running, but I'm a doctor. I deal in facts, not ghost stories. So I went back to my office and found something that changed everything. A blood-stained medical chart hidden in my old desk drawer. A chart I'd never seen before. The name on it was Thomas Brennan. Date of death, March 15th, 1997. The chart was covered in what looked like medical shorthand, but coded in a way I'd never seen. At the bottom, in barely legible writing, were the words, "They know what you did." Thomas Brennan. I remember him now. He was my first patient during residency here. A young father who came in with chest pains. I was tired, overworked, and I misread his EKG. I gave him the wrong medication, and he went into cardiac arrest. The attending physician, Dr. Richard Vance, covered for me. He said it was a heart defect we couldn't have detected. He saved my career that night. But Thomas Brennan died because of my mistake. The intercom crackles to life. Static fills the air, then a whisper. "Sarah, we need to talk." The voice belonged to Janet Morrison, the night shift nurse who'd been avoiding me all week. I found her in the basement morgue, a place that's been sealed since the hospital renovated in 1998. She was standing next to an old gurney, her face pale and drawn. "They've been coming to me too," she whispered. "All the patients we lost over the years. They're angry, Sarah. They want justice." Janet told me about the others, Dr. Vance, Dr. Peterson, even the hospital administrator, Mr. Crawford. We'd all been part of it without knowing. Cover-ups, falsified records, malpractice swept under the rug to protect the hospital's reputation. Thomas Brennan was just the beginning. "The chart," Janet said, pointing to the blood-stained paper in my hands. "Thomas left it for you. He wants you to know the truth." The lights go out completely. In the darkness, only the camera's small light illuminates my face. That's when I heard it, footsteps in the corridor above us. Slow, deliberate. The sound of someone in hospital slippers walking the halls. We weren't alone. Dr. Vance appeared at the top of the basement stairs, but he wasn't the man I remembered. His face was gaunt, his eyes hollow. Behind him stood the silhouettes of other figures, patients I recognized, all of them dead. "You were supposed to keep quiet, Sarah," Dr. Vance said, his voice echoing strangely. "We all were. But the dead, they have their own plans." I realized then that Dr. Vance hadn't been protecting me 6 years ago. He'd been protecting himself. Thomas Brennan's death wasn't my fault alone. It was part of a larger conspiracy. Dr. Vance had been deliberately giving wrong medications to elderly and uninsured patients, collecting insurance money while letting them die. I was just the convenient scapegoat. Janet grabbed my arm. "Run," she whispered. "They're not here for justice anymore. They're here for revenge." A door slams somewhere in the hospital. The camera shakes as I look around frantically. We ran through the hospital corridors as the lights flickered in patterns. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. SOS in Morse code. The dead patients were trying to help us, while Dr. Vance and the other corrupt doctors hunted us down. In the sealed records room, we found boxes of falsified documents. Dozens of patients who died unnecessarily. Families who never knew the truth. The conspiracy went back 20 years and involved half the medical staff. But as we gathered the evidence, I felt that familiar cold breeze. Mrs. Hayes appeared beside me, her translucent hand pointing to a specific file. Her lips moved silently, and somehow I understood. The living are more dangerous than the dead. She was warning me about Dr. Vance, who had appeared behind us with a syringe filled with something that definitely wasn't medicine. The recording cuts to static for a moment, then resumes with me in a different location, what appears to be a supply closet. I'm hurt, but I'm alive. Janet didn't make it. Dr. Vance caught her before we could escape. But the patients, the dead ones, they protected me. They surrounded him, and in that moment of distraction, I got away. I have the evidence now. Medical records, financial documents, everything that proves the conspiracy. But Dr. Vance is still out there, and he knows I have it. He's been watching me for years, making sure I stayed quiet about Thomas Brennan. The truth is, I wasn't just a scared resident who made a mistake. I was a witness to murder, and they've been controlling me ever since through guilt and fear. The camera zooms in on my face, showing determination mixed with terror. The dead patients aren't evil. They're not seeking revenge on innocent people. They want justice for themselves and protection for future patients. Mrs. Hayes, Michael Santos, little Amy Chin, they all died because of the same corruption that killed Thomas Brennan. But here's what terrifies me most. Dr. Vance isn't working alone. This conspiracy involves doctors who are still practicing, still putting patients at risk. The phone calls to my home, the feeling of being watched, it's all real. I'm going to upload this recording and send copies of the evidence to the police, the medical board, and every news outlet I can find. But if something happens to me, if I disappear or have an accident, you'll know why. A knock echoes from somewhere nearby. My eyes widen. They found me. The story ends here, but the mystery continues. Who else is involved? How many more patients are at risk? The dead can only do so much. The living have to fight for justice. Share this story to expose medical corruption and honor those we've lost. Don't let Thomas Brennan, Mrs. Hayes, Michael Santos, and little Amy Chin die in vain. The camera falls as footsteps approach. The screen goes black. This video was found on Dr. Sarah Mitchell's computer after she disappeared from Millbrook General Hospital on November 15, 2003. The investigation into the medical conspiracy she described is still ongoing.